Here we go! What is that? With both hands, I gotta feel the kick inside. Oh, fire! Oh, fire! Oh, fire! Oh, fire, fire, fire! Hey! Ain't nobody living in a perfect world. Everybody's out there crying to be heard, but I got a new fire burning my heart, lighting up the darkness and moving like a meteorite. Oh, fire! Oh, fire! Oh, fire! Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe. Oh, fire! Here we go.
Here we go.
Yay! So we're 1 week away. How exciting.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And how tiring. We have been working, Jim, myself, Judy, of course, and Ginny and Nancy and Kathy and Bobby Baby Walker and Michelangelo on the videos. I mean,
Fulvio's been helping me do directing videos, and Bernie McDavitt. Yesterday we did a press video, and we did an educational seminar. I mean, who else do we? I mean, everybody. Everybody has been nonstop. And this is the week. This is like not. It is equal to, but it's almost like Holy Week, where or Passover, where the next few days are really going to be intense.
This is the Holy Easter today, or
no? That was Monday. I think.
That was Monday. Okay.
But we are so excited, and at the end of this show, you're going to see a broadcast of a video that I created to showcase all the phenomenal special guest appearances, from stroke survivors to entertainers to doctors to nurses to everybody, just the operational team. We are really moving ahead, and I'm so proud and honored to have this.
I'm very proud and honored to be doing it with you.
Oh, thank you. But it's incredible. So Jim, can you put up the photo for the telethon? We just want to show you a little the telethon photo. My shirt looks a little crumbly because I was working till
2 o'clock in the morning.
And 2 o'clock in the morning, but then I got up and didn't even take my dog out. That's okay, Jim. Got up. Let me know when you put it up, though. When I got up this morning, I got my cup of coffee, went to my computer, and I didn't tell you to download it. I'm sorry. That's my fault. It's just crazy. I usually prepare a timeline and send it to everybody and send the photos, and then Jim's like prepared. But this is about the telethon for us. So forgive us if we're a little excited.
So what time did you wake up? About 5?
6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, because I didn't go to sleep till late. And actually, it's so funny because God woke me up. He had to wake me up. No, he had to, because I set my alarm for 6 o'clock, and I got up about 5:55, and I was waiting for my alarm to go off. Hang on one second. I was waiting for my alarm to go off, and it never went off. So I looked at it, and it said 6 p.m. I had set it for.
Oh my God.
I was thinking to myself, Judy would have liked that. She would have had to do the show by herself.
She thinks.
Can you show the screen? Show the exciting. It's on the screen. So that's our telethon next week. And like I said, what's that?
5th annual.
5th annual. Jim, can I hear you?
5th annual.
5th annual. And
I can't wait till you do your 9th annual, because that will mean that I've been doing it for the majority of the time.
Yes.
I'll have 5.
Yes.
That's right.
But wait until you see the clip, and wait until you see the opening video that Michelangelo worked on. He did a great job. And in that opening video,
thank you, Michael.
Yes. In that opening video, of course, we put Jim's photos, and we put Tommy Marr. We put his photo and Janine's photo, because they were an intricate part of this journey.
Definitely.
And we never want to forget where we've come from, where we were. And I always like to take everybody who has helped us and supported us from the very beginning. That's what's so exciting about this operation, because we have so many supporters and followers and really family. Everybody is family nowadays. So it is just incredible. It's incredible. So you can take that photo down now, Jim. Did you take it down already? Sorry. So that's what we're really in the mode for, and as we move forward, we'll definitely share with you more information. If any other guests pop up, we never say no to anybody. This 5th annual telethon is really about a celebration. We have wonderful guests that are going to be doing singing and magician and monologues,
right.
and it's incredible. You'll see it when you see the video at the end. But if you would like to make a donation, all you need to do is go to our telethon and our foundation webpage. All the donations between now and 2 weeks after the telethon that are made on either platform and are written in. If you don't want to make it towards a telethon, that's something different. We'll talk about that on the side because we have another operation going on, which is very exciting. We're bringing this show to the next level. Of course, we're staying with Jim. We'll always stay with Jim. Like I said, we are a family, and actually we like to take our family with us, and that's a whole nother thing. But we have this other project going on where we're looking to take our Stroke of Luck internet TV show through an agency in the city and post it on Roku, which is millions of people will follow us. Thousands of people follow us on this venue, and millions of people will follow us on those. And really, together, the platform is just becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're so honored and privileged. But if we would love for you to join us and make us a donation, any amount that you can, $5, $5 million, whatever you can. Donate to us, and if you can't, I remember how that was. Just share this, post it, pray for us because we're on a roll.
And our telethon benefits the American Stroke Association, and it has for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Life's Next Chapter, and ReneMarie Language of Love Foundation.
Yeah, and really quickly, because we have a wonderful guest on the show, but I want to, this fifth annual telethon is really about, like I said, information and really sharing how we got to this platform. When I first envisioned the telethon, I didn't know who was going to be joining us, who we were going to be beneficiaries. But when Judy had introduced me to Sharon Bean, and Sharon Bean was such an intricate part of our journey on the Stroke of Luck and the telethon, I really wanted to make an immediate impact in the stroke world. I just felt like donating, having the American Stroke Association as a part of our telethon, the beneficiaries, would make an immediate impact in the stroke world.
Yes.
And that was the reason that Judy and I and the foundation made that decision to always provide for the American Stroke Association, because they are doing phenomenal work. And then, as every year we choose a third one if it calls. And this year we've chosen Life's Next Chapter because they are working on the student end of it. There are a bunch of college students who are on the show, and what we're doing is we're going from school to school to school to really bring the education to the youngsters in America.
It's very important for young people to understand that anybody can have a stroke.
Right. And Stephen will be on the telethon, who he is incredible.
Stephen had 2 strokes in one morning at work.
Yes, and he's 22. He was 22?
He was 23, I think,
23.
when it happened.
23 when it happened. So we are on a roll. So just keep us in mind, keep us in your prayers and thoughts for the next 7 days, because we are really focused on accomplishing wonderful things and bringing some enjoyment and entertainment. But the bottom line is that we're going places, and we want to take you with us, and please partner with us and make a donation to our foundation. Our foundation websites are www.ReneMarieLanguageOfLove.org or www.languageoflovetelethon.org. So thank you so much. Now we're going to welcome a really, when you hear this story, you are going to be, I can't even think of the word. Amazed doesn't even touch it. Inspired, moved.
It's a miracle
A
story.
miracle. That's a good word, Judy. That's a good word. A miracle story. When I was working in Wanaque as a lifestyle director for 10 years, I was very close to all the people in the community. And this mom used to come by me, and she used to tell me about her son and his life and his story, and she told me about a car accident that he was in, and I'm like, oh my God.
And the car accident was 2 days before his graduation from high school.
That's right. And what I have empathy for as a parent is that phone call, that dreaded phone call that you just don't want to get. So we're not going to get into too much of the story. We'll let Tobin share it. But Tobin has really taken his experience and he is impacting the world in such a peaceful, loving, helpful way. So let's bring Tobin on so that we could introduce Tobin and really thank him for the work he is doing, and we'll let him share all his is he on? Hi, Tobin.
I'm here.
Morning,
Hey guys,
Tobin.
thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for finally joining us. As I was telling everybody, what's your mom's name?
Dotsie.
Dotsie.
Dorothy is her formal name, but she goes by Dotsie.
Dotsie.
Hi,
I'm sorry, I
Dotsie.
forgot. Dotsie would come by me and she would tell me, your story. And then he had a center down by where we work. So I stopped by and we connected right away because of both our missions in life is to bring peace, love, and happiness and the joys into the world. So welcome to the show. And
Thank you.
Thank you for finally, it's been years that we've been trying to get together, but tell us a little bit of how the story began.
Sure. So I guess we should start with the accident that you guys mentioned. It was an automobile accident. Probably at the most relaxed time of my life, right before high school graduation. I had just finished up spring season of track and field, got some all-state honors, and I was in the fittest state of my life, which was helpful.
And it did.
So I was in the back seat of a car that was going entirely too fast, about 90 to 100 miles an hour, and the car lost control on the highway and skidded across the highway facing oncoming traffic. And when we left the highway and caught the ground or the gravel, the dirt on the side of the road, we started flipping, and we flipped about 10 times. That onlookers said, and they could count. It was going very fast, so I couldn't count how many times, but what I do remember was being beneath the car and in an intense amount of pain, something that I had never even felt 10% of in my life. And then it was quite a journey from there. Just to give you a little rundown, in that accident, I had about 9 or 10 fractures in my C6, C7 vertebrae. I had another 5 to 6 in my L4, L5. I shattered my tailbone. I had third-degree burns on 80% of my body.
Wow.
I also, and that was from the gasoline, the scalding gasoline. So I also swallowed and ingested a lot of that. So the burns continued down my esophagus into my kind of airway. I had a 14-inch laceration on my head that required over 550 stitches to put back together. So I looked like a baseball in a sense.
Oh my gosh.
I had holes in my face. I almost lost my eye.
So this was 2003, right?
Correct.
So it was 16 years ago. Okay.
Yeah. Just about 16. It'll be 16 on June 24th.
Wow. Tobin, it's incredible that somebody could sustain what you've gone through and be as healthy and as vibrant as you are today. People would never know the traumas you've been through by looking at you.
Correct. Thank you. And it's led me to an interesting path as a result. Honestly, at 18, I probably didn't know where I'd wind up by 34. But now I'm very grateful because the business I work for, Renee had mentioned, I owned a holistic fitness and wellness center for many years. One day, a woman walked in, and during our first session, she was explaining what she did for business and that she operated as an executive director of this non-for-profit for spinal cord injuries and traumatic brain injuries because her son in 2007 had been in an accident, like a boating, diving accident, and broken his neck and become paralyzed. And I was just kind of blown away. That was almost an axiom point of my reality when I met this woman, because I think immediately I said, do you have any opportunities to work there? And then I explained my story to her because she didn't actually know it coming in. And after about an hour of conversation, we realized that it was pertinent that I somehow get involved with this company called Push to Walk, which was literally teaching paraplegics and stroke survivors and clients with MS and cerebral palsy to get on their feet again and get more capable and to believe in themselves and to utilize today's technology along with the science that is continuing to unfold about how we can resolve these issues that seem debilitating for a lifetime when they happen. The only thing doctors told me after my accident was my limitations and things I would never be able to do again. And maybe it was my brain injury that told me that was nonsense. Maybe it was my 18-year-old ambition that told me that was nonsense. But there was nothing, not a cell in my body that told me that that was what they were there for or what I was here for. Right. So I had to find my soul, I guess, and resonate it through every cell of my body so that those cells would heal and those cells would gain possibility again, because to offer myself limitation was not possibility.
Right. How did you feel during the process of rehabilitation? I mean, I'm sure that physically it was very trying, but I mean, what was going on in your brain? Like you just said that you never had any doubt that you would you be here today standing, and neither did I, as a matter of fact, when I was going through my stroke. But what were the thought patterns? And I have another question for you while you're answering it. In my world, I was surrounded with encompassed with love, which was the biggest key to my success in recovery. So tell us a little bit.
So, two things. I was essentially terrified because I had never had as much as one stitch or a broken bone before this happened. And then I had as substantial as you could get maimed in any type of incident. Yeah. I had it all. And I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. And the only thing I could think of was like that fear of the possibilities of what I would not be able to do had to drive me to do the things that I was able to do before. And I didn't want to walk. Like my mother had to, thank God, like you said, for the love around you. My mother wouldn't let me sit around. I had a neck brace on. I had these burns that were bubbling my skin for months that, my skin was literally molting and shedding off. And I thought I was going to die. Like I felt like I had died, and I thought continuously every day that I might not wake up because of this substantial pain and trauma. And she forced me to get out on the driveway and just start walking and get moving, which felt like I was carrying 1,000 tons of bricks every step I took, because the pain was just shaking through every cell of my body. But it was being almost terrified that I would be stuck there for a lifetime that drove me the most, now that I really reflect upon it. And maybe it was a little bit of my significant traumatic brain injury that kept me in a fog almost. So I went right to college 2 months later. 2.5 months after the accident, I had been recruited to play Division I soccer at the University of Rhode Island, and nothing about me thought that I wasn't going to go to that preseason camp. Right. So I showed up to preseason with a neck brace on, and the coaches looked at me horrified, and they were like, what do we do with this kid? So they put the yellow jersey on me, the quarterback jersey. Nobody else was able to hit me. I would slowly get my conditioning back, as challenging as it was, because most of my body had atrophied at that point. And by God's grace, I showed up to this school that immensely supported their athletes, and I was set up with an entire PhD educated athletic training staff who saw me as their dream project, because they were normally dealing with torn muscles and rolled ankles and maybe a broken bone here and there. But now this head athletic director got to work on somebody who had a broken neck and needed to get rehab to go on a soccer field and jump up and do head balls again.
Tobin, let's take this moment to highlight and spotlight, because I always like to take the moment to talk about how incredible those coaches and
Definitely.
sports team were, because the truth is that they could have taken it another direction and said, no, we can't help you until you're better. And the fact that they never once doubted, or they just figured out how to make it work with you to keep your spirit alive and not to kill your ambition. That's a big part of what we need for everybody to learn nowadays.
Correct. And I need to touch on that too. For anybody that's going through something like this, it's going to be horrifying. I thought they were all psychopaths that just like wanted to kill me. Every day I would go to practice and I'm like, these guys are crazy. Like, they're letting me do this stuff and I should not be doing this stuff. And then I would go to the athletic training room and I would lay on a table and the athletic trainer would brace my head and ask me as hard as I could to push against it with all my muscle. I thought my head was going to snap off my neck.
Wow.
I thought they were crazy. So the point I'm making is that if anybody's going through this and you're in such a low state and such a hurt state, a damaged state, whether mentally or physically, that you might feel the people around you that are trying to lift you out of that are nuts, or they're horrifying, and it's like, it's a scary thing. There's nothing to be afraid of. The limitations that you would set upon yourself are scarier than the work you will do to get yourself back.
Right. But just for what's the word I want to use? Awareness. Always make sure that your team around you, like your parents, and are aware of what is going on, because you all want to be engaged in the process. You don't want somebody who isn't supportive and is doing the wrong thing to take advantage of you. So,
Correct.
You always have to have your team of loved ones and your like your doctor had to give you the permission to go and to do that. And he was probably aware of what you were entailing at your, am I correct in my thought patterns?
To a degree. Actually, the orthopedic surgeon that I was working with really didn't give me any possibilities. He told me I might never walk again.
Wow.
And told me I should never, ever play soccer again.
Wow.
So I arrogantly went against what he said and got to this program. And thankfully, like I said, at URI, at the school, they were super supportive and they wanted to get me back as soon as possible. And they saw my drive and how young I was and how, kind of the neuroplasticity was high. And they were like, all right, we're getting this guy back.
Tobin,
yes.
I'm just wondering, when the neurosurgeon said that you would never improve, did you think about firing him and getting someone else?
Oh, I never went back.
Good.
I never ever went back.
Good.
I went back once because at the end of the soccer season, which was around Thanksgiving time, I came home for Thanksgiving weekend, and we got MRI scans or CAT scans of my neck, and fractures that he said would take 18 months to heal. Now, this is a doctor with a, college education. He's allowed to practice medicine. All of those fractures had healed within 4 months, and he didn't know how to deal with it. He brought another doctor in to look at the scans, and then he tried to say, we have the wrong scans, and he almost yelled at a nurse over it. He couldn't fathom.
Couldn't believe it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm happy that you listened to your insight. In my world, that's God sharing with you the direction you need to pursue. And that really is important. I mean, in the promo, I took it off of your video, Taking Back Consciousness, which is what you did through this entire journey and process. So 4 months after you went to the training camp, and you went through all these initial workouts and strengthening tools. And did you play?
I did. I wound up playing a little bit that spring season. The next year, so the first year they do something called medical redshirt, because you only have 4 years of eligibility for the NCAA. So that allowed me a 5th year of eligibility. I didn't lose that year. So come sophomore year, I was technically a freshman on the soccer team, and I had an opportunity to really make a way there. So the way it works in Division I soccer and probably other soccer teams at elite level, there are 30 players per team that fight for 11 spots on the field, and there's only 2 substitutions per game. So only 13 of 30 players will play per game.
Wow.
I was number 30 on that list coming back from my injury. So what you have to do is kind of fight your way up and play your way up. And by the spring season of that year, I had gotten into that top 13, 15 that was playing. And by my second year of playing, I got a little bit of time. I started to do a little better. But then at that point, I realized, hey, with this injury, I might not be a soccer player for the rest of my life. So I started to refocus on some of the academics, which I just wanted to go back to the comment you made about support system. Throughout that time, I think I was on the phone and writing emails and letters to my mother almost every day, which a lot of kids go to college and they just kind of discommunicate with everybody for a while. It's their own life and they're free.
Right.
I didn't realize how interactive we were being. So my mother was always there every day, checking in on me after class, seeing how I was. And again, by the grace of God, I'm sorry, my dogs are reacting
okay. Don't
to
worry
some
about it.
animals outside. I'm going to let them out. So by the grace of God, the school and the soccer team also set me up with a clinical sports psychologist who was used to working with athletes with eating disorders and just general anxiety and depression from the pressure of, playing a sport and going to school. He also saw me as this dream project because I had no proactive memory after the accident.
Wow.
The part of my brain that was damaged did not erase my previous memories, but it did not allow me to store new memories.
Wow.
So imagine being a new college student having to deal with that.
I'm
Oh
just
my God.
curious, Tobin, what happened to the other passengers and the driver?
Interestingly, nothing. They all walked out of the accident. The 2 guys in the front seat, when the car stopped flipping, just crawled out and they were fine, injury-free. I think the driver had a little cut on his head. The guy that was sitting next to me, so there's 4 of us in the car, this is where it gets really miraculous. Everybody that witnessed the accident said that they had no idea how and when he got out of the car. By what it seems, as the car started flipping, he disappeared from the car and wound up 30 yards away from the car on his feet, unharmed, with no point of exit. So that's still an unexplained situation. And what that allowed, interestingly, was instead of me and him sitting next to each other getting decapitated because the car was crushing on us, it allowed me to be broken into the car, basically. So he was sitting to my right-hand side. All of my breaks and dislocations came as I got stuffed deeper into the middle of the car, kind of like this.
Wow.
And if he was there, that would have not been possible. There wouldn't have been the space for me to get basically crushed inside the middle of the car. We both would have been dead instantly.
Wow.
Wow.
It's just and I can't talk about your experience, but I could talk about mine. And I just think that we had a purpose in our lives, and this was the way that God got my attention. Mm-hmm. He was trying to get my attention. When I had my stroke, I remember him saying to me, "Let's try it again."
Yeah.
And he was referring to 13 years prior on the softball field when I got hit in the head with the bat. He was trying to get my attention, and I was not listening. I was so because I know I could see it in you as well, are so focused and determined on doing whatever is in our path. We're just committed to it that sometimes somebody's like, you're not listening. Renee, Tobin, so I think maybe that's why the other kids in that car didn't experience what you experienced, because you really understand now your purpose in life. If this experience wouldn't have happened, you really wouldn't be where you are today.
Oh, no way. I wouldn't have any clue where I would be today, and it wouldn't be nearly as purposeful. And I'm a synchronicity believer, that we live in a giant clock and it's just aligning itself properly. And when we learn to play our part and be that piece that the clockwork needs, it aligns such beautiful things and amazing miracles. I mean, that arguably was the first miracle that ever happened, but it has led to a chain reaction of more and more and more and more miracles every day. The most amazing people have found their way into my life, you included, and this opportunity, because there are people out there and listeners of your show who have probably survived some of the things that we have survived that don't have the insight or the awareness to listen to that insight because they haven't had the situations around them to align. I didn't necessarily have people around that believed in any of this stuff. They were in a lot of despair. After my accident, it was the first time in my life I saw my father cry, and that was more heartbreaking than seeing myself in the mirror after. So I realized, okay, like you just said, I have a purpose here, and I wasn't living with a purpose. I was really good at all this athletic stuff and academic stuff, but now I really have to fight to teach my brain to learn again. I really have to fight to be able to walk and do the things that I did so easily before. And as a result, which I've learned through, the business I ran and now the nonprofit I'm working with, is the number one limiting factor to people's success and progress is their ability to believe in themselves and believe that there's a greater possibility. And I believe that I went through exactly what I went through and was able to recover in such an extreme, almost supernatural way so that I could just stand in front of these people and they hear my story and it's a beacon of light for the first time that's shining for them. And I don't have to be pretentious with it. I don't have to be like, I'm so special. No, I say, listen, if I can do this,
you can too.
All of us have the possibility to do this. And then any limitation they had in their mind or their heart is gone. They can't acknowledge it anymore because they have to see me every day now.
Right, but you're living your true self because you're living your purpose. You have taken this experience, and like with me, like it's a second chance at life because our life was taken away from us. And
you appreciate it more.
And we appreciate it. And we have to understand that we have to live our calling, because if we don't, when I start going astray, many years ago when I started going astray, things would start not working out for me, and I'm like, how come it's not working out for me? But the truth was, it was a little wing from God, like, Renee, you're not doing what you need to do, and agree with me, Tobin. It is so hard to live your purpose, because
of course.
Because as rewarding and fulfilling as it is in the mainstream of life, it doesn't flow with you. You're flowing in your own path, not going with everybody else. And that's really the challenge. That's really the challenge.
Very much so. I've experienced a few things recently, and I won't go into too much detail on them, but the normalcy that everybody else seems to find in, seeking career fulfillment in the terms of financial success, in the terms of developing relationships and things like that. I watched in the past 12 months some of the people I love the most on this planet fall in love, get married, start families. And I've questioned to myself, is that really my purpose? Is that something that I would really benefit from? And as much as I would like as a human being to fall in love and to have somebody and to, have such career success and become a millionaire or a billionaire like a lot of people on this planet, ultimately any steps I take in that direction to sacrifice a little bit of my purpose never works out for me. And it's just a resounding sign that it's not what I'm here for. And I always say this to people, and we're human, we get confused sometimes, but I say, listen, if I were to not wake up tomorrow, which has been a possibility in my life many times.
Me too.
Will I have done the day before all the things that I needed to do and that my heart told me to do and my soul and spirit told me to do, and not my body and mind and not my expectation of what other people think? And I just actually had I film a podcast myself called The Art of Flying, and we're a few episodes in, and I had a guy yesterday who was my first artist, and he was bringing a complete different perspective, because I've had entrepreneurs, I've had healers, I've had yoga instructors. He was my first artist, and he approached the questions I asked about heaven and enlightenment and utopia from almost a very like nihilist way, which was curious because
What's nihilist mean?
Nihilist means like kind of a disbelief in a lot of things.
Oh, so he doesn't believe in it.
Not necessarily, but he also, if you listen to the podcast, I think you'll find that he really does. He just operates from a place of admittedly deep anxiety and depression, and his art and his creations are ways that he finds purpose in life and finds enlightenment moment to moment and finds God in these situations. Mm-hmm. But again, when he's not focusing on his purpose and his craft and the things he's passionate about, he feels lost. And this was something he admitted to. So I think that, again, is coming into play that, you know, when we are so focused on our purpose, life is going to work out for us that every way we could ever imagine it, because we're so in tune with the flow and the process and the goodness of what we're doing, that all that other stuff becomes irrelevant. I think a lot of people on Earth right now, and especially in the United States, are waking up to the fact that they've worked so many years for this success and to develop this nuclear family that ultimately might not make them happy, and then they have to go seek their inner self again, and they have to let that flourish. And hopefully what people extract from our conversation is that they can do that without having to go through the struggles, that they can see our struggles and listen to the lessons we've learned and just start focusing on their purpose right away. And I believe fully that that will transform all of us into living on a better planet, a more conscientious place, and a more connected place.
Yeah, I agree. You know, it's so hard. And what I understand from this artist you had on, maybe it was coming from a place of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly, yes.
That he's fearful, and I can understand that fear, because when I suffered my stroke, I was in an unknown area, and my brain was scrambled, and I lived in fear of what's to come, what's to happen, it took me many years to kind of defragment my life. And I always talk about Dominic Cortellessa, who helped me to put those in perspective, the same way that they helped you when you went to the soccer. You know, it's people that come into our lives for specific reasons to really help us, and it's up to us to be open for what's to come without the fear.
New ideas, and Dom would put things in perspective. But I will tell you, and I'm sure this is true with you as well, that Dom wouldn't do the work for me. He wouldn't do the work. He would ask me questions, and I this is vivid. I'd always remember him saying, "And we'll come back to this tomorrow. Think about it. Let me know." I love it.
And he would make me do the work. And I was like, "Can't you do the work for me?" No. But honestly,
it wouldn't have helped you.
I know. I wouldn't have learned the same way with you trying to pick your head up. They couldn't do that for us. Do that for us. We had to do it ourselves.
Okay, correct. I could have given up at any time, and it wouldn't have made a difference in any of their lives, essentially. But not giving up made such a huge, significant difference in my life. And it's funny that you said that, because with the clinical psychologist, we were working on memory building for the most part. Prior to the accident, I had a complete photographic memory.
Wow.
And now I couldn't remember my name on a piece of paper if I wrote it and you turned it over and then asked me a moment later what I wrote on the paper. So I went from, excuse me, an extreme high to as low as it could possibly get. And I had to reprogram my brain cell by cell, thought by thought. And the Dr. John Sullivan used to send me out and just tell me, like, and I would write something and he would take it away and he would say, what'd you write on the piece of paper? And I had no clue. And he goes, "Okay, you tell me tomorrow. Think about it for the next 20 minutes."
They said the same thing. I'm like, "Oh my God."
And it was the most frustrating thing in the world, because my brain wasn't working. But what that process does, and what these two guys had in common, was they knew how the brain works, that if there's data stored there, it's just jumbled up in a hard drive, but it's there. And we need to will ourselves through whatever spiritual means or whatever heart-oriented means the fire inside of us, I like to say, has to heat that up and kind of boil out all the junk so that we can get that purity and that singular thought that was going to create a pattern for the rest of our future. And I believe that's how they healed you and how they healed me as well.
Yes. I wanted to say something and I forgot what I wanted to say.
After memory issues.
No, I wanted to say something. I forget what it was. So
about memory.
Yeah, I know it's about memory. I forget because I was
writing something down. Remember?
Oh, I know what I wanted to say. Thank you, Judy. So what I have learned in my life is, and share with me if you agree, is sometimes things don't go the way they used to go. So what we need to do is
adjust.
If I were in your place now that I am thinking clearly, what I would have done and what I've done in my life is I would have said, okay, if I can't remember it, then I'm going to find another way to remember it. I'll write it down. I'll have it in front of me. Like when I started doing this show, I had to have a whole bunch of papers around me, every single piece of paper, because I needed that to be aware of the guest and be aware of what the purpose was. But now I don't need it because it's been 5 years that it's like, oh, I read this at home. I know it. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I prepare the timeline. But I needed to come up with a different structure in my life. So sometimes it doesn't go the way that it used to go, that you could photographic memory, So share with me about that.
So funny that you say that. I've had my own house for about 8-9 years now, and my mother always complains when she stops by. She's like, your house is so messy. And I'm like, my house is perfectly clean. The mess she's talking about, and she's explained it to other people, she's like, Toby has papers all over his house. So my memory's back, and the photographic memory's back, but at this point, I'm trying to process so much before I go. That whole, if I don't wake up tomorrow, there's so much I have to do, so I'm constantly taking notes. Everything I observe in life, everything is a sign to me, that synchronicity. Oh, this is life speaking, the universe speaking, God speaking to me, so I'm writing everything down. Right. I'm connecting all the dots, and that results in me using up thousands of pieces of paper constantly, where I'm, developing diagrams all around my house essentially to connect all these ideas. So it's very funny that you mentioned that, because that's how my brain adapted. It was like, all right. You might not necessarily remember this, so I use my right hand because I'm a lefty, so I'll write notes on my hand like they're tattoos up my arm.
Right.
And people are like, what's that? I'm like, oh, that's just my notes for the day.
So the message to those that are having challenges in their lives is they need to kind of almost take a step back and reevaluate how to make it work. Because sometimes and most times it doesn't work. Life is about plan B. Life is about plan B, and I got that in a hospital when my dad was in the hospital. I went to the gift center and it said life is about plan B, and that stuck with me.
Yes.
Because most of us think that we should be doing this in our lives, or it should be working like this, but it doesn't. You have to be open for plan B and plan C and plan D.
Another way you could remember things, besides writing notes and putting papers all over, the very important things that you might want to know right away, you could put on your cell phone in the note area.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or the memo area.
Yeah.
Yep. My notes are all filled, and I text message myself. I'll email myself. But for anybody listening, find these adaptations. Figure out new ways, and it's not just with memory; it's with anything. There's so many paraplegics we work with that have all types of assisted devices. There's all different types of chairs. There's standing frames. There's all these different tilt tables that can help people get back onto their feet when they were told you're going to be stuck in this chair the rest of your life. So we live in a time where technology, like Judy just said, can help us. It's not archaic. It's not like we have to carve our own pencils anymore and print our own paper. Like, there's infinite possibilities around. And Judy, I like to say thank you for that, because I felt wasteful as I was saying that, but it's just paper is so prevalent. It's always around. I'm a big nature fan. I'm out there. I do nature rebuilding projects, rewilding projects, restoring native species type stuff, cleaning up garbage. So I try to be as mindful as possible to not be wasteful, but I would say, the paper is my vice, and it's something that, that's why I've almost been inspired to do my podcast and do more interviews, because I've done enough accumulation of this stuff. I'm ready to get it out there and have it in these mediums that, can be almost timeless. That who knows, with the way technology is working, and you guys will be on Roku and all this stuff soon, hundreds of years from now, that's going to be the new Encyclopedia Britannica. People are not going to be going to books. They're going to be going to digital sources and seeing what we were talking about in 2019 and 1977.
And another
like
very important thing is that you brought up, and I want everybody to remember, is when somebody says that you're not going to recover, get them out of your life.
Right away.
Right. And
right
think
away.
positive and get somebody else to replace that person who knows more or can help you heal.
Correct.
Never take no for an answer.
Exactly. And I like this quote by Warren Buffett, who says, we are a reflection of the 5 people we surround ourselves with most, and that's so true. Very true. And I was very lucky, as I was trying to get back to physical capability, that I was around some of the best athletes in the country at the time. So that's kind of what I was reflecting. And then I was in college with all these intelligent kinesiology and biology majors. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the level I have to get to. So
Right.
Yes,
absolutely.
right.
Like if I took that year off, there's no way I would be in the position I am now.
I agree.
Tobin, don't you agree that sports is such a critical tool in youth's lives? When they're talking about finances in the school systems, and they eliminate one of those sports, or the freshmen, I just think it's such a critical part of education. It teaches you teamwork, it teaches you dedication, it teaches you how to fail, it teaches you how to come back from failing. It's so important in your lives. It doesn't matter whether you're a performing artist in the concert, what's it called, concert tour, when you're up against other artists, or if you're in a sport, whatever facet you're in. But they're as critical as education, I think, because they teach you other tools in your life.
Correct. And we've kind of lost track of that. And I think that's why people are jaded with sports and they're so easy to cut them, because it became a lot about ego for a while. And it's about, my kid's better than yours, and kind of taking advantage of certain systems. And what sport really taught me, the huge benefit, was that repetition. That whole 10,000 rule. You do something 10,000 times, you're going to start to master it.
Yeah.
That was the most important thing after my accident, and to get back into college classes, and to be able to pass and graduate and have a degree after suffering what I went through, because I knew inherently, embedded in every cell of my body, that as long as I do something for enough repetitions, I'm going to master this one day. And that was 100% from me spending extra 2 hours on the soccer field shooting shots at the post to get better at accuracy, or spending time annoying my parents at 10, 11 o'clock at night with the basketball slamming into the side of the house. Because it was the repetition, and I knew that if I didn't get that repetition, I would not go to the next level, and that goes for anything that we do.
Yep, and I remember, because I was a softball coach for many years after I played, sometimes athletes would think they were going to start pitching because their parents were the starting pitcher, because their parents was a coach. And not on my team. I was taught by Barbara, Pat Talaferro, who was the best softball coach in the world, Barbara Stewart, and the whole team that taught me that you have to earn the position. And they would make us, they would see who would be there prior to practice time, who got the equipment, who brought it, who set it up. And who knew to get the ball and throw the ball? And when people would come to me and say, well, my daughter's so-and-so's...
Doesn't matter.
I'd say, no, they have to earn the position. I don't care who it is. They have to earn the position to start playing. If they're good, then they'll start. But I had to instill in them some discipline.
Mm-hmm. And that's so true about life. And that's one of the biggest things that reflects is I've run a business before. Prior to that, I ran 3 locations of somebody else's business. And I would not put up with tardiness. I mean, we're here training people and teaching people and providing a support system for them when they're literally at their worst shape, or they're just recovering from an injury, or they're depressed, or they have an eating disorder and they're very fragile and their life is very volatile. To show up late for this person says so much more in defeat than they could ever defeat themselves, because the person they rely on, at least in my career, my profession, should be there 15 minutes ahead of time. They should be set up. They should be enthusiastic and excited, because that person is not necessarily going to feel those feelings and is going to feel that motivation. And they look to us. And this was all based on what sports taught. Absolutely. Like, you didn't show up at game time for any game. You showed up an hour early and you got warmed up and you worked on your skill set and you worked on your bond with your team so that it could work harmoniously for success. Even if you lost, you know at the end of it, okay, we did everything right. Next time we'll just be better.
Right. And if you make a mistake, you learn from the mistake you made. What did you do? You struck out. Why did you strike out? Because your eye wasn't on the ball. Let's work on that. Let's practice it. Then you go back and you learn and you learn. I think sports are so critical in life.
It's like football.
Yeah.
When a team finishes playing, they should look at the tapes of the game and see what went wrong, if something went wrong, or if everything went right. Let's repeat that.
Yeah.
Correct.
Tobin, we only have we're past time, but
Jim's probably looking at the clock going,
so I really want you to take this opportunity to this platform, because like you said, this platform will be around. I know we're on the air all the time, but each platform is so important, critical, to take the opportunity to share what your message is to the world. So I want to give you this opportunity to share that with everybody.
Thank you. The first thing that's coming into mind is just love yourself so fully, no matter your situation, that whatever anybody else says to you doesn't matter. You just continue to live to your heart's happiness and to your purpose, and know that life is going to present the strongest souls with the strongest struggles. Okay? And that was not meant to defeat you. It was meant to create who you were meant to be. And that when you love yourself and you love all of the situations that life gives you, no matter how difficult that may seem to be, that's where you're going to find the most fulfillment and happiness. Because I can honestly say every dream I've ever had has come true, and I could never have imagined that for myself in that hospital bed after the accident. That was just something that my heart had to drive me, because I loved life and the opportunity to live again and that second chance so much that it has driven me to these places where it really seems like I'm inspiring thousands of people that I never thought I would inspire, and it makes me almost want to break down and cry out of gratitude. So just love yourself as much as you possibly can. Love the life you were given, because it's the one that is going to make you and create you into the being that you were destined to become.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Well said.
Thank you. And Damon's one of our team players. He said, I totally agree. Sports taught me discipline. So it's so important. Actually, my next book is called Extra Innings, and it's the extra inning in my life. You know, what am I going to do with that extra inning? Because I was always an athlete. I was always playing sports. Like, you get to the extra inning, you're thriving. You want to, and the truth is, all you have to do is your best. If you lose with your best, you've succeeded. You've won, at the game of life. So it's incredible. I hope you'll come on again, Tobin.
I will, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And we'd love to have you in person so that we could, interact a little more. But this is incredible that you're back in Wanaque, wherever you live, and we can connect via Skype. It's just incredible.
Absolutely.
And I want to offer to you, if you would like for me to support your group or come and speak or whatever, I would be more than happy to do that to your stroke patients.
Thank you. We should definitely discuss that more because it would be very inspiring to a lot of them.
Thank you. So we're going to say goodbye. Jim, say goodbye. Jim actually has spine injuries as well, so I'm very happy. Do you want to ask Tobin anything?
No, I was just actually inspired by what he was saying because I was in the same, not to the extent that he was, but it's hard when your whole body hurts to wake up every day for 3 years straight. People don't really understand that level of pain. They're like, oh, I hurt my foot. It goes away in 3 days. But when you're hurt every day, it's really tough. And I give you a lot of credit for being so young and overcoming that. I'm dealing with it still at this point.
Thank you. And something I have to say to you, and this is, I guess, a justification that I've always used, but it's really helped. Pain is a sensation. Yep. Sensation means you're alive. Yep. So as much as that pain may resonate, I have severe neuropathy in my left hand and arm, now my right foot from the lumbar injuries. When I want to dwell on that and get down on that and despair, I say, listen, you're alive. You can feel this. You can feel pain. And I have a client that's a paraplegic that says, Toby, it's really ironic that God would do this to me and I can't feel anything from my neck down except for pain. And I always say to him, I say, you get sensation. That's just your mental interpretation through a lifetime of patterning that you're seeing it as pain. And I know that's difficult to register, but pain is different for everybody, and we all register pain in different ways and different emotional responses. Some people will go out there and hang themselves with hooks because they want to experience a bypass of pain. Right. And something that we get to deal with every day is feeling life pulsing through us. And right now we interpret it as pain, but it might not always be that. We have to try to repattern that and say, listen, this is okay. This is who I am. This is what I deal with. I'm grateful to be alive and to be able to feel. And I don't know if that helps, but it has helped me big time.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think that way myself at a lot of times. Sometimes, you have a weak moment, but...
Of course, we're human.
But I appreciate what you just told me, and I wish you luck, and I hope to meet you someday as well.
Yes. I hope to meet you guys soon, too. And Renee, I just want to comment one more thing. You mentioned this analogy and metaphor of extra innings. Anyone listening, I just want to thank you, and if this gets shared to my community, I always have felt, I'm getting emotional, that I have angels in my outfield, like that old movie, and I want to thank you guys, and Renee and Judy, and you guys, you are angels in my outfield, so thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. And we're, just so you know, this is on Facebook, but when I go home, I post it to YouTube, I share it on the website, and I'll send it to you. You could stream it out to anybody you'd like.
And it also will be on Village Connection Network videos.
Yep, yeah. So it'll be around the world. So, Tobin, you're doing wonderful work, and I just feel your passion for life and feel your inner soul really wants to make a difference in the world, impact the world.
And you are making a difference.
You are. So
thank you.
Know that, sometimes when you're in the center of it, there used to be a gentleman at a Wanaque, his name was Sullivan, and he shared with me, he was like a little angel that would come and say something to me, then walk away. And he said to me, it's almost like you're in your own cell, because you're in it, you're doing the work, but know that you're doing the work. Know that you're doing the work, and we're just here to confirm that you're doing the work, and we are on your team. Whatever you need us to do, if you ever need any broadcasting, whatever you need from us, know that we're in. We're in.
Thank you so much. Truly angels, and I'm very grateful. And for everyone watching this, you have angels around you. Just realize that they're all around.
Yeah. So thank you, Tobin. Thank
you
so much.
Guys.
Thank you.
We'll
have a nice
soon.
day.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, and incredible, right?
It's a real miracle.
It is a miracle story. It is a miracle story. And he is, and that's why him and I just connected, and we really wanted to support each other and really wanted, but I guess the time was now.
Yeah,
the time
there's
was
people
now.
out there that can really learn from this and think positive and know that they're going to get better.
Yeah, I mean, with me, you know, I don't look at my story like people have said your story is a miracle, da, 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 but I don't look at it like that because I have been so driven, and there was never one single doubt in my brain that I was gonna be okay. It was like he said, the family members around you. I vividly remember my dad standing at the foot of my bed with fear in his eyes, not knowing what was.
I know that feeling.
I was gonna, but we'll continue this conversation. But you know, we're really happy to have had Tobin on the show. We're gifted for his guest appearance. So Jim, could we show the do we have
preview.
Time to show the
updated preview?
We have the special guests appearance on the telethon.
The 5th annual telethon.
5th annual telethon here, who is going to be special guest appearances on the telethon, and won't stop there. If anybody wants to join us, please let us know, and you can donate while you're watching this. Take it away, Jim. Take it.
Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe. Oh.
Wow, right, Jim?
Wow. I'm
Wow.
nervous.
It's
You
so
have
exciting.
I don't know if we have enough parking
Jim, why
outside.
don't you come over here?
I don't think we have
can be
enough
in the
parking
park.
outside.
Why don't you wheel over here? Got to turn that around though. Oh no, I can watch here. Here, wheel over here. Come on, Jim. Let's talk about the telethon a little bit. All right.
I'm getting a little nervous.
We're so excited.
You did it last time with less
No, that's good
numbers.
exercise.
We're good. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
exercise.
Jim, 1 week away.
I
Now,
hope I don't get a cold or anything.
well, the show must go on. The show must go on. That's actually why I brought you all the files today. Even though I think the music I'm going to be controlling off of my system. So
That
I
should make it easy.
This.
I might take a nap.
No, but I was thinking I'm gonna bring them in case, just in case, just in
Never
case.
know.
Jim has all the files, so the show must go on.
We're
Jim,
ready.
thank you so much.
We're ready.
We're so excited. So
Big number 5.
big number 5. Here we go. So we'll see you next week, 9 a.m. Maybe a little before. So that we have enough time to stream through everybody. But I really want to take this opportunity to thank everybody. When I was looking through the video posts that I received that were going to show on the telethon, I think it was Dolores who did one.
Right.
It's so heartwarming. Keith Taylor did a video that'll be presented on the telethon. It's so heartwarming. Damont and Dana are going to be Skyping in from wherever they are on their tour bus. That's exciting that, the tour bus is going to be Skyping in. I'm not sure if Bob Mandel is going to be Skyping in where we're trying to get him from Florida. Like we said with Tobin, sometimes you have visions and it takes time to create, but our vision is to have someone represented in every part of the country. Then we'll reach out to the other side of the world. Andrew Rea has announced. Assemblyman Andrew Rea has given us 2 days ago or 3 days ago that he is going to be live in the studio talking about healthcare, which is our purpose. Our purpose is, to bring awareness of strokes and aphasia, but really, what drove me to create this telethon and the foundation was to help those that their insurance ran out. And the awareness and the telethon are really all a part of bringing awareness to everybody about strokes and aphasia. So
very important.
Judy, you want to say thank you to everybody for really their part, and I want to give a personal
thank the whole team.
But I want to give a personal thank you to Judy because her unconditional commitment to every part of the language of love foundation team, stroke awareness, stroke of luck, the telethon, everything. No matter what I ask her to do, she does, and she does it well. She stays on top of me, and she never lets anything go. So, thank you
for saying that.
Thank you. And to Virginia Warner, who is really, we have a special announcement about Virginia on the telethon, and to Nancy and to Bobby, to Kathy, to Fu, to Bernie, Father Sam will do the opening video. So, let's just go. Here we go. Ready, Judy?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Let's go. Bye, everyone. Let's blow our kisses.
Mi amor, yo no entiendo por qué tú más que nadie sabes qué pasó en mi vida. Yo no sé qué tú piensas, yo no sé lo que haré, yo no sé lo que estoy perdiendo, yo no sé lo que va a pasar. No me puedes escuchar. escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír, llorar. No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír, no me puedes escuchar. No me puedes escuchar, llorar, llorar. No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar, llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír, llorar.
Just this broken soul. I'm always a giver, but I'm never known. And I'm just this lonely man, alone on the river with my heart in my hand. The conversation, they're all dead. The lines cut off inside my head. I left here like a broken man, with no idea of where I stand. Oh, my mind clear. Lord, I shed all my tears. Oh, now baby, I was just waiting here while you moved on. Now what remains of this tattered soul is something I've always wanted to know. This whole sense of security, this newfound freedom you kept from me. The sound of all your loaded guns, this outbreak war has just begun. The sound of all your loaded guns, this broken man has already won. Oh, my mind clear. Lord, I shed all my tears.